they always said I'm wrong, but what they doing today? I think they want me gone, but I ain't going away. They told me I was wrong, but look at my ass today. Da 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 da.
A quote that was made about Derek Jeter this week, though, was by Rob Parker on First Take. And if you can't tell, I'm a little sick, so Thursday I was watching that show, and they're talking about Derek Jeter, and usually they don't talk about the MLB, but they're talking about Derek Jeter, and Rob Parker goes as far as saying, not only is Derek Jeter the greatest Yankee of all time, which, come on, I would say he's a top 5 Yankee, but if you're going to tell me Derek Jeter is a better player than Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra, I mean, maybe Derek Jeter isn't even a top 5 the more I think about it, but the Yankees have had such a good history, that doesn't mean much. But, or it's not like a negative thing on Derek Jeter if you're not a top 5 Yankee. But to say that Derek Jeter, and this is the other thing, he said that Derek Jeter is the Michael Jordan of the MLB, that to me, excuse me, I just turned it off at that point because Rob Parker's a dumbass. I mean, that he makes Skip Bayless look smart in my mind. I can't stand watching really any of them, but sometimes I just do it just because, I don't know, sometimes you get that urge to watch or see what people you hate or dislike or disagree with are doing, so occasionally I'll turn it on, and Rob Parker really just doesn't bring anything to the table. He didn't when he worked in Detroit, that's why he got fired there, and he doesn't when he's on First Take. To say that Derek is the Michael Jordan is basically saying that he transcended the game. He put the game on top. He helped globalize the game. He was the best player that ever lived. No. And I like Derek Jeter a lot. I think it's impossible not to like Derek Jeter. But to say that he is Michael Jordan, Derek Jeter has not transcended the MLB. Derek Jeter, when you go back, is one of those guys that you will have to have watched Derek Jeter to really get Derek Jeter. You can't look at Derek Jeter's stats and say, oh, wow, yeah, Derek Jeter's one of the best players of all time. You won't get that out of Derek Jeter's stats. Even though he's going to be up there in hits, you won't get out of Derek Jeter's stats, or just looking at the box scores of games he played in, that he's one of the best players of all time. And I don't know where I'd rank him. I'd probably put him somewhere in the top 20. Just position players. But to say that he's Michael Jordan, he didn't transcend the game, he didn't globalize the game, he's never won an MVP, and people get so obsessed with the championship. Derek Jeter has played extremely well in a lot of clutch situations, and a lot of times, it's not even that he had great games, but that last moment, the walk-off home run against the Orioles, the flip play against the A's, which, by the way, Giambi was safe on, but his ability to improvise, his scrappy type style is what people fall in love with, and the fact that he's pretty much stayed out of trouble, even though I think we all know Derek Jeter's been running around with as many women as Tiger Woods, but he wasn't married, so I don't think too many people had an issue with that. I'm not saying that Derek Jeter isn't an all-time great. The comparison that I would make more about Derek Jeter is to Kobe Bryant. And certain people will say that, and I think Kobe Bryant is a better NBA player than what Derek Jeter is to the MLB. That's no disrespect to Derek Jeter. But the comparison I draw is, there's not too many years where I can say that Derek Jeter definitively was the best player in the MLB. I think Alex Rodriguez, through the first 10 years of both their careers, probably had a better career. And again, you got to watch Derek Jeter to really get it. But Kobe Bryant, and this is going to draw a negative reaction from a lot of people, the more I look at it, I mean, there's a few years where I can look at Derek Jeter as maybe the best player in MLB. There's a few years where I look at Kobe Bryant as maybe the best player, 2002. I think when he was putting up 35 a game, I don't care what he was shooting in those years. I find it tough not to at least put him in the discussion as the best player in the or in the NBA at that time. And the comparison that I draw is the fact that while they might not have ever won too many MVPs, I'm not drawing the comparison in terms of they both won 5 rings, but I'm actually going to draw in terms of they might not have been the best player, but when you go down the list of, okay, who's the top 5 players in the MLB? Derek Jeter's been in that list for a long time. Maybe not the last 3 or 4 years, but he was in that list for a long time. Kobe Bryant has 1 MVP and really lives off, his legacy is more off what his teams have done. And no, don't get me wrong, he's been a huge part of that, but MVPs are not what has made Kobe Bryant's legacy. So I don't look at Kobe and say that there's a lot of years where he was the best player, but I say that there's a lot of years where he was a top 5 player. And one of the things that makes Kobe Bryant, in my mind, one of the top 15, maybe top 10 players of all time is the fact that maybe he hasn't been the best, but he's been right there for how many years? And pretty much since the late 90s. Derek Jeter pretty much since the late 90s. So I think the comparison between Jordan is ludicrous, but to say that Kobe Bryant to Derek Jeter, I think that comparison makes a lot more sense because they've both been among the best in their sport for such a long time. That's one of the things that I respect about both of those guys. They're both winners. They've both been among the best. Their teams have always been among the best for the most part. And that's what I'm going to take away from both of their careers, and I think that that would have been a more likely comparison.
Just a little ways around the corner from fear. Be there, next year, where I'm going.